pandemic trapped a bunch of aging role-playing gamers in their homes, forcing them to crawl out of their pen and paper comfort zone and into the online world of virtual tabletops and video calls. So join them as they raise the curtain to share their stories, insights, and love of all things geek. So grab your longsword and your +1 bottle of Viagra and get ready for another episode of Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers Podcast. That's a lot of syllables for one sentence.
Hello and welcome to the Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers Podcast. I'm Nathan, and here's my co-host,
Matt.
And we're here with Christian and Carl, the writers of Death in Space, part of the Stockholm Cartel. I don't know, initiative group. I don't know what you want to call it, but why don't you guys just introduce yourselves and talk about a little bit what you did to bring this project to life? Just a quick intro. Carl?
Right. So I'm, of course, a role-playing game enthusiast since a long time, almost 20 years now, which is, of course, not a long time for some people, but for me, it's most of my life. And I guess I got started in kind of OSR games about 10 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, started talking to Christian about Death in Space, which he had kind of started writing. At that point, we started discussing basically every single thing about this game. And from that point on, I think we just started writing and rewriting and iterating over and over until we had the game that it's there today. Otherwise, I actually have a PhD in physics, so I've done some research on our universe
That's beautiful.
some time ago, and today I work as a data scientist. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And me, Christian, I'm the, I guess, taking care of the design and art part, even if Carl is doing a lot of that too, and writing. And I also started with the role-playing games. It feels like a long time ago, but I guess it's 30 years ago, something. Mm-hmm. But I have had a break for 20 years, something. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure, the math, but
time isn't meaning anymore. But
I think I stopped at when I was 13, when I got my first computer, so that's what I do. And when I don't do Death in Space, I work with computer games.
Okay. So there's a little bit of crossover there.
Yeah, I think I do the same thing almost. Making levels and maps and stuff like that.
That's kind of interesting. So I have to ask, have you thought about porting the Death in Space role-playing game into a PC game?
Well, I got a question once from a friend, and it sounds fun, but it's just so much work. And I like the part when you can actually just write something and then it's true. You don't have to do graphics or coding or budgets and all that stuff.
All those up here.
Yeah.
Fair. So that's actually pretty cool just to hear back. So like Matt and I went to high school together and started gaming in high school, and through us moving around the country and having other jobs, we've kind of always come back and now like so many years later we've got this podcast that we've been doing for a little over a year now, and it's been fun. It's fun talking to folks like you and getting to know like how you got into this, because it's pretty interesting. It's just, like we write our own adventures, but nothing like the whole design aspect. So we like to ask like a lot of design type stuff. So how did you? What was the influence for Death in Space? Just let's start off there.
When I started writing it, I started as how to say it? I wanted to start write a bit more serious. make myself write at least. So I said to myself that I need to write 40 minutes every day on my way to work. So the first 80 pages before Carl joined was on my mobile on the train. Then Carl kind of joined. And lots of movies and music. And
So what kind of movies and music?
well, I guess it's the most obvious ones with Blade Runner and Outland with Sean Connery and Prospect.
I think Outland and Prospect are maybe not totally obvious for everyone.
Actually, I'm not sure if I'm familiar with Prospect, but Outland for sure.
Both of those have been a great inspiration, I would say.
Yeah, and of course, being alone in the pandemic is kind of helping. So
that's a good scene setter for being alone, trapped in space. Right, you can't go anywhere. Being trapped.
A different, exactly.
Yeah.
Trapped in my apartment.
I could definitely feel just from a lot of the imagery. It's a lot of like a singular person out in space in in an EVA suit. It's not like there aren't a lot of group party shots in the actual book itself. So it definitely evokes that feeling. But
so I was kind of I've read through it. I've already told Nathan. I think we've got a few things for our show planned, but I really like this setting, and I like this idea. I'm a sci-fi fan, and I've played other science fiction role-playing games, things from like the Star Wars, Starfinder. Nathan ran us through a couple Aliens thing, but I really like this approach of just like trying to keep things fixed. I had just read the Coriolis books, and I thought that this also was like this sort of dark. I like the idea that the universe is like nothing's new, everything's being fixed. It's kind of a more grim, not shiny Star Trek. Everything's great in the future. So I thought that's a cool design. Is that what you were looking for? Is that kind of what just kind of stands out from sort of your traditional, maybe high science fiction sort of stories?
Yeah, definitely, I would say. Yeah, absolutely. Sort of gritty, dirty, not these sleek designed spaceships like you see in many sci-fi movies today, I think. So more this kind of modular, dirty, lots of different weird things sticking out from the spaceship. You should be able to see that it's put together from a lot of different sources. So yeah, definitely one of our goals, I would say.
One of the first things when I had read it, and actually you probably heard this in the interview with the guys from the Heretic, the Morkborg, is as I opened up and started looking at the PDF of this book, I had read the Morkborg where it's very much art. Your rule book is also a piece of art. So I guess it's like, art versus design, or maybe I'm not sure what the calculus is when you design this, but it's definitely not like, a lot of people want to make their rule books very efficient, right? Like the text is in the right place. This clearly the art and the way it's presented seemed to be very important to you. I'd be curious to your thoughts on that.
Something we do, at least try to do in computer games, is to make everything balanced in a way so you have the right amount of design, story, and similar stuff like that. So we tried to do the same thing in the book with finding that nice balance between everything, and everything is important. I mean, the text is important, and how it looks is important. The design is important. It should all also be kind of tied together. And if it doesn't fit, you should just, at least our thoughts was, you should just remove it from the book. So that was kind of the design philosophy behind the.
Yeah, I think it's important to us how things look, of course. We wanted to kind of evoke a lot of inspiration and ideas for gameplay, mainly. But also, as Christian says, we have thought about the actual text, where to place things. what should be kind of written where, how should we organize chapters, the color coding, sort of functions of the layout. That's something we have discussed and thought a lot about as well.
And we get
and also kind of this spread concept where the idea is that everything you should everything you need to find about a certain topic should ideally fit in one spread. You can't always kind of make it in one spread, but that's the idea at least. So that was an important thing as well.
Yeah. Now, before we get into like some of the mechanic stuff, so that's really cool. So going back to the art, like going through this, like I've got the PDF that Free League were kind of to give us. So thank you, Free League. But going through this, like basically you want to go to the next page because you want to see you see the art, and then you got the text, and you definitely want to see what's on the next page, and you really it does give you kind of a pretty good feeling of the setting, and some of the loneliness. So can you talk a bit about the setting, like the Tenebris system and the cults and things like that, just so people can understand, like, what is, where does your at least base setting take place, and what's it about?
Yeah, I can do that. I usually do that for some reason. So this setting is the Tenebris system, as you mentioned. So it's a stellar system somewhere in some universe. And this is right now in the aftermath of a war that took place up until about 10 years ago. And this war was kind of the culmination of a gem rush, so a rush for mining of valuable gems. These gems have kind of important properties in technology and things like that. We actually don't go into too much detail because we really feel like each group should define exactly the details there themselves. But anyway, there was this big war, and this system is kind of right now trying to rebuild after this war that basically shattered the whole system. Manufacturing stopped completely, more or less. And that's one of the reasons why nothing is new and everything is just put together from old things. So that's kind of the starting point. And then recently people have kind of, there are some rumors that there's something going on with the universe. It's kind of, the expansion has reversed, and we're kind of heading for the end of the universe. And in the midst of all this, there's also this weird void that no one really knows anything about, but it seems to give people strange mutations and kind of you can hear it through the static of technology. And it's the weirdness somewhere in the static that you can't really understand. So that's kind of a very brief summary.
So there's a couple things about that. So with the like the weirdness, like the mutations and the void, static, I guess you could take that a few different ways. You can kind of lean into maybe more of a horror style game, or just make it more kind of really just weird. Just stick to the weirdness and make it, maybe not necessarily a malevolent thing, or is it, or did you want it to really be more of a malevolent type?
No, I wouldn't say so. Actually, for us, it's not necessarily like an evil thing. It's some weird concept that you don't really understand, and sometimes the manifestations look like something bad or evil or what you want, but I wouldn't say that's really how we see it. I don't know how much we want to reveal either, but kind of no, maybe I said too much, but I think that's probably interesting for people to know, I guess.
Okay, so was your intention to like let the people that play it kind of figure out on their and define it themselves, or do you have like a plan for like future stuff to like reveal more and more of your idea of what this void is?
Tricky question.
We said too much.
No, but we all you need kind of to have something like a descriptions and background behind everything, so you know what you're going to write. But maybe we just don't write about that stuff, but we use that as a springboard for what we want to write. So
I think we kind of implicitly might define it a bit more in future things we do. But I actually feel confident in saying that it's not like we will give an essay explaining exactly what this is. That's not really. No, we will not do that.
Wait, it's not like it's not like an OSR aesthetic to do that.
No,
really.
exactly.
Like,
no.
And the space itself is kind of, it's not evil, but it's harsh and kind of it's
exactly. It doesn't want to kill you, but you will die.
It doesn't want to, but it tries to kill you.
It's perfectly capable of it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, in some ways, even a horror or anything, sometimes just not knowing, right? I mean, like, what is it like in like monster movies? Often the monster's more scary before they show it, right? And so I think for me, from a horror, not having it laid out, this is this and this is why it is, keeping it just no one knows. It's just there waiting, and it may be something good, maybe something bad. Is I think might be a pretty powerful.
I mean, I think you find that just in human nature generally is like people are afraid of what they don't understand. So,
and I always like that part more when in the beginning of the movie or a book, or when the monster or the horror is not there. It's just a build up. I like that. That part.
Yeah. It's it really sets a mood. I really like the concept of the iron ring. Like when I first saw it, I was thinking like kind of like the was it Larry Niven, the Ring World and all that. But it's definitely not that. But I like the idea of a the iron ring is a I guess kind of like a space station of a conglomerate of a whole bunch of other ships and debris wrapped around in a ring around a planet, and I like that because you could spend your whole campaign just in the ring.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go exploring the rest of the universe.
That's definitely one of our goals.
I think that's pretty interesting.
I guess there are quite many similar ring worlds, or like rings around planets and moons and stuff like that. But and the difference between ours and others, I guess that's that is made of debris and old spaceships, and it's junk going around the planet that's connected in some places.
I mean, in some ways, it's not. I would say realistic, like it's science fiction. But I mean, just look at our atmosphere. Right? Our atmosphere is filled with junk already, right? Got all this stuff floating around, trying to figure out how not to have it run into each other, so we don't lose our cell phones or whatever. Right. So having people like collectively. No, I thought that was really interesting, and maybe that's something like we want to talk like. So in this game, you create a character. Right, so you have a character, but there's also your home base seems to be almost like a character itself. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about this home base concept a little bit.
I think we both kind of like that concept to have a central hub. I mean, in the literal sense of the word, to kind of have as a point that you can center your campaign around in some sense. And just a home base for the player characters that they can develop during the campaign. That's an important thing to maybe start out with this hub not being that much defined. And as the campaign goes on, the players, particularly the players, will kind of contribute and add new modules maybe and modify, and things will take place in this hub that will kind of develop how you see it and make it more important to the players as well.
And it's also something that connects all the other players together to something that you own together. And it's like an extra character that you all can be part of.
And there's and the type of hub you choose could also affect the kind of game you have, correct? So there's like more than one kind of hub?
Yeah, either the space station or the spaceship. So the spaceship, I would guess, is the more classic choice, where you kind of have your own ship and move around in the system, hopping from planet to planet.
Escaping
like
problems.
Escaping problems, yeah. But on the station, you can't escape your problems in the same way. So that, I think, is more intended for a social campaign, if you will, with maybe negotiating with other powerful people in your local area, in your local sector, on the ring, maybe, trying to kind of make your way to the top of the hierarchy, I would say.
And you can also see it as with a spacecraft, you are kind of seeking problems, you're kind of going after them. But having a space station, they actually come to you. So, big difference.
I think when you're having your session 0, when you're talking as GM, when you're talking with your players, you make sure they kind of know the difference. So if, and get them all on board to say, well, do you want a more social, political game? Then maybe this station type hub is better suited for that. But if you want to go on adventure and go find loot and just see what's out there in the universe, then of course a spaceship. And because it's different, there's all different kinds of players, and some players are going to gravitate. They want to have something that they can. They're going to take to some of the build on, add on features and customizing, and some people aren't going to be interested in that, whether it's a spaceship or a space station. But it's pretty cool that's in there for those types of players that really like to customize and build a little their own little fiefdom or whatnot.
James and I.
Yeah. I just want to go shoot stuff. So,
but that's I mean, you always want some kind of contrast between everything. Sometimes you just want to talk, and sometimes you want to just shoot stuff. And just looking at the world, I could definitely see. You could have like different types of societies in like this ring. So you could have kind of the seedy underworld, and then you could play this game for like a year, and then say, well, you know what? There is actually another level that has all the rich and powerful people that you never knew existed before. So you could really do, just explore within that type of environment. So I think
absolutely. I think we're opening for having these derelict sectors on the ring that can contain whatever you want, more or less.
Yeah, and if you think of the size that would be, right? A person could spend their entire life and not walk around it. Not get across it, right? So it is. In itself, even though it's not space and traveling around, it's vast to a human or to a person that's got to, get from corridor to corridor. It's gonna.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like a mega city in space, in some sense, with some in uninhabited places in between, and
That to me definitely has like a Blade Runner type feel to it. That mega city type idea.
Maybe not mega city. Maybe that was the wrong word. But lots of small cities. I would say. Lots of small
the sort of the cluster
communities. Clusters.
with like the ever-present, and almost has that same, like I used to always get tense every time I'd watch movies about submarines. Right? It's this idea that you're in this place, you're walking around, but right outside the wall. Right? You can't, because if you're in a city, you go out into the park, you drive in the country, this is not that. There is a wall between you and death. And it's
exactly. Yeah, you're in a tin can, or lots of tin cans built together.
Lots of tin cans. Precariously attached to each other. And,
a lot of welding and tape.
Could drift off at any time.
And if the duct tape, gets loose, then
and now you have a spaceship.
Exactly.
For a while. So you talked about the void, but that actually has some game mechanic parts. So you've got like void points that it seems to have potentially good or bad effects or consequences for using them. Could you let us know a little bit about sort of the void points and how that works into play?
Okay, I can do it. Well, you get void points when you fail a roll. And you can have max 4 void points, and you can spend them on activating a cosmic mutation or for advantage when you roll the next time. So it's our kind of way to balance the game a bit. If you fail a lot, because sometimes you are kind of unlucky with the dice. It's kind of you just roll bad. So so you can use those void points the next time for something important. And if you use them, there is a risk of you getting void corruption. So you should kind of be careful how to use them also. And it's nice also to have one void point, because our game is pretty deadly, and you can use that void point for your check, last check before you die.
Okay.
So it's nice.
So sort of like a death save or something. You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a body check. We have a check before you die, and you can use advantage on that check. So the void points are pretty good for that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the system itself bears a lot of resemblance to other OSR games like Morkborg, and you do have I noticed you do have an advantage systems where you can roll 2d20 or disadvantage, and the new addition I thought was pretty cool was the risky attack. And Matt will attest, is I like for my players to take as many risks as are available to them, because I think failure can be interesting and is very I find it's very cinematic. So do you want to describe risky attacks for our listeners and what your idea was behind that?
I think it's a pretty simple mechanic in some sense. So basically you say that you want to make a risky attack, and then you roll to attack, which is your usual D20 roll. And if you succeed, you actually do some extra damage in the attack. But if you fail, your opponent actually gets a counterattack, and they also take over the choice of who will act next in this combat round, which ties in with the initiative system a bit.
Which definitely we want to talk about, because that's very different from other systems. And I was reading through it, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I said, but I could see. I've seen games where like amongst the team you can kind of trade your initiatives back and forth, but not one where you're actually picking both you and the opponent. So yeah, I guess that kind of dovetails into this. What was your thoughts on maybe explain the initiative and what you were thinking when you put that mechanic together?
So I can just say how it works. You can explain why it works like that.
Sure.
So how it works is just that when you have done your actions, you get to choose who will do the next one, and this can be either one on your side or on another side. And then you ask, but why would I choose someone on the other side? Well, the point is, if you're last in the round, you also get to choose who will start the next round. So if you just leave your opponent until the last part of the round, then they can just choose themselves to start the next round. So they get 2 actions in a row. So that's the reason why you might want to avoid that.
And the first time I tried a similar system, we noticed how kind of smooth it was when we played. We didn't look at initiative when people didn't hold their phones while during the combat, and every time I play games with an initiative system, I always forget who's next. So the only thing I need to have in my mind when I do that is just, have I acted yet or not? And then just it kind of flows a bit better. So the first time I tried that similar systems, I kind of get hooked to it, and I wanted to use it for everything, everything we played. So it's a nice way also to, it's a nice way to do moves together. So you can tell your friend, okay, let's do this together. I'm going to use you as a springboard and jump on top of this enemy and take it out, instead of having to wait a couple of rounds before it's the other person's turn. So now you can tie moves together, and I think all that stuff is coming from the Marvel game, when you're supposed to do stuff together.
Yes. I think that uses this system. Yeah.
The phase rip.
I actually don't know, but it has been used before, at least. This system. It's not something we invented.
It's neat. Like, and it is like we like in this. So we do an actual play podcast too, and like the episode we're releasing on Tuesday, I do the fastball special. With the halfling in the group, where I throw him at a demon, and there is some coordination you have to do. Is not D&D is really not built for that. You say, well, I go on this initiative, and you have to you have to just not do anything until I'm ready, and you lose your turn basically. So I think,
so it was kind of either this. Popcorn initiative, as it's usually called, or just a simple D6 roll. Whoever gets highest acts first. I think, a group. I mean, and so I think those were kind of the options for us, and then we went for this.
And if you combine this with that, if you act first, then it's starting to get quite dangerous.
Yeah, because you're initiating the whole risky situation. Like if nobody chooses to go first, then maybe you can talk your way out of it. But if once you choose violence, then
we wanted to have that feeling of when you're talking to someone and they are kind of reaching for the gun. You don't want to. You don't want to roll
the gun. The loaded gun is lying there on the table. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So it creates almost a narrative start of combat.
Yeah.
Whereas you're right. It's not like I want to hit him and then you roll and you get really low and you're like, well, I guess I'll hit him later.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. No, if you say you hit him, then roll to attack.
And it's too like I find us like any kind of more strict initiative systems. Just okay. All right. We're combat starting. Well, now we have to stop, and now everybody has to roll initiative. And that takes a minute. So, if you're especially doing it online, it's like, roll 20 is not rolling the dice for me, and so you're waiting. You're about to start, and then it's okay. Then you have to wait.
Yeah. Right. There's a lot of editing that out.
For
us. Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
I kind of love crunchy combat games, but we wanted something different that is a bit faster. And for this one, so you just when the combat starts, you just start, and it should at least. When I play, it's different for Carl, but I want combat and the other stuff to feel the same. It's just a bit more dangerous.
Yeah. And we play a lot. Like we're playing, Hero System, and we play GURPS sometimes. So we definitely love the crunch too. But it's definitely nice. Like one read through, and you could pick this up. And if you had half an idea for at least where to start, you could get going. And character creation seems like pretty quick, and you do have some interesting decisions to make. Do you want to? Is there anything you want to say about the character creation and your thoughts into like what makes character creation interesting for you?
I guess one thing that is a bit interesting is that we have some stuff in the book where we don't explain what it is, just have a word. And the players have to make up that stuff themselves. So what is this kind of the backgrounds and
trinkets and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you have to kind of create your own story behind the character, and it's our way to make players connect really fast to their character when they make up.
I actually find a lot of times when players they roll some kind of background and they're like, okay, I'm a gem archaeologist. What does that mean? And I'm like, what does it mean? And they always, get really committed and start thinking about what that could mean, and we kind of collectively start defining how the setting works bit by bit. So that's, I think, an important part of that.
And also the part with creating a hub is pretty short, because we wanted players to actually build on top of building their own hub in the game, so they actually get a bit better connection to it instead of in the beginning of the game. So
like we played the newer Star Wars game a few years ago, and you could pick your spaceship, which was cool, but of course there are these are the spaceships you can choose from, and do you want A, B, or C, and this is you could really do whatever design you want, and start off with the basic attributes and go from there, and you could really you can really customize it and make your own just narratively.
I think totally the same is for characters too. We've done a few games now recently where there's been a lot of random rolls in the character creation. And so we've talked to some folks. There was like, well, some people, they really want to design their character. They want to design it. They have a concept. Like, I come to the table with a concept and I'm going to build that. What I have found with some of these game systems where there's a lot of randomization is that it actually it really gets your creative thought process going, right? That you make all these rolls, and then from that you have, like, out of those rolls, a person begins to appear, right? And like you said about defining a gem, right? Right? Allowing the players to fill those gaps. I think some of our richest characters have come out of that process of starting with some randomization and then allowing that to let us create something within that process. I don't know, Nathan, if you...
Yeah, exactly. And just looking at some of the stuff like in the under character details in the looks area, robotic hands / arms. Like, how did you get those robotic arms and hands? Like, like what happened to you? Was it in the war? What was it? Were you working on a spaceship and something like it fell off its skid and landed on your arms? You could make up a really cool story with that stuff.
And sometimes the players actually add stuff that you need to. They change the world. in the beginning, they say, I did this and this in this company. Okay, so now I need to have that company when I play.
Okay, so now we have that company existing. Yeah. Okay, let's write that down.
Yeah. So
yeah. That's true. I also really like this randomized characters a lot, because you quickly get started and then you kind of define them through play rather than before play, which I find a lot of fun.
And we also added, if you don't want to roll, you can pick yourself. Just pick from the list.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I personally, I like there's people who will like the picking, and I think some of them might be like if you got a background for something, maybe you want to pick your starting gear that matches your background, whatever. But I like to throw caution to the dice and just see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think the best characters I had when I played is actually something you get one role and another, and they actually doesn't fit. So you have to build that arc between. You can always make it fit. I mean, make it sense somehow.
I like that approach to have gaps that you need to fill in, and you can always fill it in somehow. Yeah. You just have to figure out how.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a whole creative writing process kind of built in too. So not everybody's going to want to do it that way, but I can see, well, at least for us, when you give a little bit of randomness in there, then you come up with like Matt said, just a really much more fleshed out character at the end of it, and it doesn't really take that long to do.
No, that's another benefit. You can even we have this online character generator, which basically takes all the tables and combines them. So we should advertise that one a bit more. It looks really good. Yeah, it looks really good.
Actually, send to us, and we'll add it to the release. So.
It's in the style of an old BBS. So it's
oh, that's cool.
Very retro looking.
Yeah, we're talking about
so then you just do a single click of a button, and then you have all those table entries there for you.
Have you guys considered, because you've got a whole henchman mechanic as well?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of maybe doing the same thing for just like a henchman generator?
We haven't, but maybe we should. now we have.
Right?
Exactly.
Well,
what would you like for the title? Yeah.
We can cut the part before, and we can start now.
So hey guys, have you ever considered having a henchman generator for?
Of course.
It's in the works right now.
Yeah, that would be cool actually. That page is one of my favorites actually, because we found some old how to describe it, some descriptions of what you have to pay for different kinds of hazardous work and so on. So that was fun. Translating that to our game world. Like handling of hazardous materials. Okay, that one works straight away.
Hazard pays for long traveling. Yeah, maybe.
There wasn't too much cryo sleep in the real world, it turns out. So we had to kind of make that up.
Yeah.
It's what is that show? I don't know. My father-in-law watches it. It's all about the people who haul things from one place to another.
Yeah.
They go pick up like big oversized things, and they have to move them across country. And that's, right. That's just basically the same business model, right? They're living out of their truck. They're
I think Christian would love a campaign just hauling things back and forth.
Space trucker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of. I shouldn't say boring stuff, but I like when it's slow and
more low key.
Low key. Maybe that's low key. So I would like to play a trucking thing adventure, just going from A to B.
Everyday life.
Everyday life.
What kind of music are you listening to?
Well, given this, the mechanic, something that sounds mundane, like I'm going to go pick up this and haul it from this planet to this planet. But one of the things I thought was interesting is that every single thing you've got has like is it like a repair rating or a condition rating? Mm-hmm. And so there's all these opportunities to introduce drama without space battles and alien invasions, right? Everything you've got could break. In fact, in the spaceship things, there's like, what did I read? Something about, now it might be combat related, but like hazards that can happen or things can break. But regardless, everything's got a condition and everything could bust. So it might seem like a simple sort of story, but you could interject drama, if your life support's got a hole in the line or something, or the clamp that holds your load breaks, and you've got to it's got to go recover it. So I think that's kind of a cool system if you want if you're not looking for giant space battles and aliens invading, you could still have a really good and engaging story at a more mundane level.
Absolutely. The scenario could be about getting a spare part for your engine.
Yeah.
Which is basically the plot of a Star Wars movie, by the way. So, not too shabby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
work for them, right?
Yeah, we are top tier now. That's absolutely.
No, I took it down. I always have my Empire Strikes Back billboard behind me. So,
I have my TIE Fighter up there.
Yeah, so and I like that you. There's a lot of random tables, and we talked about this with the Pelle and Johan too. We like all the random tables because we both run a lot of the games with our friends. So just for game generation, coming up with ideas, especially like it. I could have a kind of a plot line arced out, but sometimes you need some stuff between those big story arcs to kind of fill the gaps, and I like that there's a lot of random tables in here to kind of help you come up with ideas for a little bit of everything.
And we tried very hard to put as much of our setting in the tables everywhere also. So it feels you can almost understand the setting just reading the tables in a way. And the first table we have a table when you open the book, you have a table with equipment.
Yeah.
And there's some odd stuff on that equipment list.
Well, the first one, 50 strange, 50
strange metal marbles. Yeah, that's
not explained.
Classic one.
You just dropped it there in our hands. Like, okay, I had no idea what that is. So yeah, that's right off the bat, you start off a little weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's also fun making tables and fun rolling on tables, and it's fun using tables. At least for me, and I use them a lot. So we try to have as many tables as you need for in the beginning of when you start a game. So that's the kind of the amount of tables we need, at least. Some people maybe don't need any tables, and some people need more tables. But it fits our way to play, at least.
It's also one of those things that's easy to make new ones and add as extra modules, for example.
Now, one question I've been kind of dying to ask too is with OSR games, there's a lot of people that love to make their own homebrew, and they want to publish it or give it to the community. Do you have kind of guidelines for aspiring Death in Space homebrewers or writers that want to publish their own materials to as a companion?
Depends on what you mean by guidelines. We have a third-party license, which is basically just saying you can publish stuff and charge for it as you wish, as long as you don't use material from the book or text from the book. So yeah, that's I guess a signal that make whatever you want.
Okay.
But in terms of guidelines, more than that, I guess we have a couple of principles in the book, and I guess the hope is that you kind of understand the concept when you read the game. But we talked about having some points on the website with just, these are some principles that we think are important. If you want to follow them, that's, up to you. But it's just a help if you want to.
And we will probably we will try to make stuff that is not that much that will not destroy your world in a way.
No, that's absolutely, I think we want to try and make things quite modular, and make it possible to plug in everything into your own campaign. Maybe not exactly everything, but as a general principle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's great. I love that kind of here's our playground, and do what you want with it. Try not to break it.
Well, maybe I have two guidelines. Maybe.
Okay.
It's you don't have to do it on black pages. You can do white. It's okay.
Well, now HP and Lexmark and all the printer manufacturers are
exactly sponsored by HP. Yeah.
Whoever makes the ink, right?
And you don't have to use our monospaced kind of font typeface. Yeah, that's horrible because it takes so much space in the book.
Interesting. Yeah.
So those are the principles to any writers out there.
Everything is easy, and just do whatever you want.
I think actually that's, for me at least, that's an important point. Like, you bought the book, you define your setting. Now this is kind of your version of the setting, and we don't try to pretend that we own this in any way. I mean, we have released it out into the world, and whatever people make of it is up to them.
Have you seen any fan generated content yet? I know this is fairly recent, but people get to work right away on this stuff.
Yeah. There are a few things out there on itch.io, for example.
There we have a game jam going on right now that people are making stuff. So there's a Western Death in Space hack.
Yeah, that one's really cool, actually. Yeah, it's kind of a space Western, even more space Western than
Firefly.
Which would fit, right? Because Outland is a remake of a Western.
Exactly.
I think it's High Noon or something.
Yes.
And you can see the same inspiration in our first Start adventure also.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's another famous Western movie. I think it's quite similar. Fistful of Dollars, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that is really cool, actually, this Western. I think it's more like really Western, and then some sci-fi elements in it.
Like Star Wars is a fantasy that with space sci-fi technology.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure of his real name, but McClintock, he made a virtual table foundry thing for us also.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
The
So you can
character sheet and some tables are in there. Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan, I don't know if you guys have, I don't know if there what like communities where people get together, like Discord channels or whatever. Anything you'd like for us to put on with the video, we can add it to the text that goes along with when we release this.
We have
because I know
Discord.
for some of the other games we found like the Discords and the chats and everything. Those have been super helpful, and the communities always seem to be really nice. Exchange ideas and stuff that people add. So yeah.
We
have a Discord which is has some activity.
It's you can read it at least. It's not just text going all the time.
Right. You're trying to actually read what people say. Yeah.
I'm not at all envious of Mörkborg Discord.
I hung out there for a few days, and I'll peek in there every once in a while. I was like 25 plus new messages. So, maybe some more time.
No, they have some extremely active community members, which is really, really cool. Really, give them credit for having created this community. And all the people in the community for also contributing to the community. Yeah.
I like how, like, for us, like we all start with D&D, but like life is too short just to play D&D, and I like that there's so many options now. There's just whatever style of game that you want to play this week, you can find it. It's out there.
Yeah, it's rather the opposite problem. Like, what are you going to choose out of all these games?
You can't.
No, you can't.
And I guess we made it hard for ourselves. I mean, I think this project took 3 years from the start to finish, and it's waiting 3 years to to make a game you want to play. It's a long time.
I can imagine.
But we played it during the when we did it also. So
Yes.
so that's what I'm going to do for the months coming now, is just play Death in Space and make some campaigns and stuff.
Well,
Awesome.
I'm glad you're gonna have time to do it. That's awesome.
Well,
Coming to that.
Yeah.
It's a real drag. The real jobs are like our daytime job, right? I mean, Nathan and I muse all the time that it would be great to just do this and do what we really
Now when Death in Space is over, I kind of want to have just a small break and meet people again, because it takes time to do a game.
Yeah, and then there's all the the promotion stuff, which is I'm sure is fun and everything, but like you don't make games because you don't like games. You make games because you love games.
Yeah.
And at some point, you kind of want to play those games.
Yeah.
That's true.
Any final notes from you guys that you guys want to tell your community or the people who don't know you yet?
Well, it can be hard to find, but we have a soundtrack that you can listen to now before buying the game, or looking at the game, or copying the game, or stealing the game. You can listen to the music, and you can create characters on the homepage.
Okay.
I think you can find everything on our homepage, deathinspace.com. So
I think the soundtrack is available in most streaming services.
Spotify and
for example.
Okay. Who did the soundtrack, by the way?
It was Solar Field did one song, and then Helium Kid Canon did the rest. So it's a really nice soundtrack.
It's kind of combining some more atmospheric stuff with some more not so slow. I don't know how to describe it, but there's one song which is like a TV commercial, I think, which is kind of fun. And then some of them are a bit more with some more up tempo, and some of them are more slow, ambient.
I'm the audio nerd, so I like to make sure
Mm-hmm.
those musicians and whatnot get their get their mentions.
Yeah. I just did a quick search. It came right up on Spotify. So whatever. I'm not sure other streaming services people use, but that was quick to find.
And I'm a big fan of Solar Fields, so it was really nice to have him on board making a song for the game.
Yeah, that song is really, really good, actually.
That's a slow build-up. From Sweden, or?
Sorry?
Both of them are from Sweden. Other than that, do we have anything we want to say? I don't think so.
All right, there we go. There we go.
Gun to your head.
Well,
you must promote something.
We're just, I think we're both really happy that things are starting to happen. The game is out there, and people are reading it, talking about it, and that's just really, really nice to see. And
that's great.
kind of strange as well, but mostly nice.
Awesome.
I think Victory, our friends at Victory Condition Gaming, did an actual play of it.
Right. We've probably seen that one. Yeah.
Doug. Well, thanks, guys. Matt, do you have any final words, Matt?
Any final? No.
Before
thank you
you're
for sitting down and
tagline. That's it. We're cutting there.
Thank you for your death in space. No, thanks for sitting down with us. Like I said, I've really enjoyed reading through it. I'm pretty excited. I think it sounds like a great game. I'm looking forward to either playing or running it sometime in the future.
I think you should run it, Matt. I think.
I have a really, really, really mean scenario in my head for the players. So
sounds good.
I know you guys have life supports always working. I don't know if that's going to be. So no, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, guys.
Right.
I appreciate you spending so much time with us, and enjoy your evening, I guess.
Yes.
And I'll go finish packing.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
thanks everyone for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.